Welcome back to the Acer Team Story Cup, possibly the last match we have today. We'll find out in a moment, though, whether that be the case or not. It is 4-0 in the favor of Team Liquid. It's a best of 9 between these two teams and first of 5 wins. Can HerO lock down the all-kill? Is going to be the big question. Spawning here in the lower right corner of the map, the man with 4 deaths, 4 notches on his belt today for mYinsanity. It is the Red Protoss, Liquid HerO. And his opponent in the top left. A little bit late to the party, but we'll see if he can get it done. Ladies and gentlemen, the blue Terran for mYinsanity, Jjakji. So, this is unfortunate. I still don't know if this was planned. Again, for a lot of the teams, there's a lot more going on behind the scenes, guys. Trying to rally up 5 players to play in a team league is actually a lot harder than you might think. And scheduling has been an issue the last couple times for mYinsanity. I'm hoping that that wasn't the case today, but whatever it may be, we saw Balloon open up the series in Game 1 versus HerO with a strategy that we've seen Jjakji actually get a lot of success with versus other Protoss players. But HerO shut it down. Now, we don't know whether that was because of the amazing control of HerO or the not-so-amazing control of Balloon. My curiosity piques, though, does Balloon tell him that this already happened, that it didn't work, and does Jjakji try it himself? It's looking as like that might not end up being the case, though, as he did take the barracks before the gas. And one thing I do enjoy watching Jjakji. Some of my favorite openings for him are his safest ones, where he goes for the double barracks opener. We'll have to wait a moment to see. Of course, nope. Okay, gonna put that second depot down a little bit earlier. Curious choice to put it over here, by the way. This will be nice for catching warp prisms. There's another place over here you gotta put it down because dead space is a real problem, and I don't think there's a single Terran player in the world who goes, you know what, I love dealing with warp prism harass. That zealots are my favorite things to deal with. So catching it sooner than later is always a nice thing to do. Big shoutouts, by the way, to all the Zerg players for mYinsanity. I think between today and yesterday, warp prisms haven't really been that much of an issue, except for Nerox, I guess. Shame. But no, I really like the way we saw Serral and Zervos both constantly leave Hydralisks at home. It's kind of the same concept, but Terran players don't really follow by it so much, where you don't need a lot to stop a warp prism, but yeah, still Terran players, we tend to be notoriously bad at just grouping all our units and put them in dropships. SCV dies over here. His your name, babe block is a nice little move. It will buy him a little bit of time. Not a whole lot, though, as this was dealt with sooner than later. I thought those Marines were going to get that probe first for surezies, but not the case. And the Nexus comes down here pretty quick out of HerO. Jjakji also putting his on the low ground. A bit of a bold move. Anyways, reaction goes down. Oh, pardon me. In favor over the top of the tech lab. So I don't know if this means Jjakji's really going to be looking to push or not. There's a lot of different logic paths, I guess you could call them, when it comes to TVP. You can either go for Marauders and assume that with earlier concussive shells you can wreck anything on the ground. Alternatively, you can invest in Widow Mines and wreck anything, period. Just depending on if you can position them in time. Now, Mothership Core is going to get a little bit of aggro over here, we call it. But the bunker finishes up. The Zealot might not actually get a whole lot done. He's going to walk right past the bunker, though, as expected, but Marines can kite this around. With the reactor coming out, he can actually deal with the Mothership Core. Kites back actually really nicely, almost loses a Marine, doesn't, and kills the Zealot rather easily. Mothership Core can't really do too much more. Hey, that rhymed. Paramore, Abor, Shore, Floor, Tor, Gore. Okay, I'm done. Anyways, the thing is, the idea of the Mothership Core is executed pretty perfectly there. HerO, you want to bait the Marines backwards, but Jjakji had enough that it wasn't an issue. We had double Hellions coming up to follow this, and Hellions are not something you classically see in this matchup. There's kind of that whole joke series where Decisive did it versus Grubby, and I think a lot of people were surprised that it worked, and we all rolled our eyes, saying like, okay, cool, cool. And Decisive even came out later to say like, no, I just did it and it worked. It wasn't even planned. But these are certainly planned out of Jjakji. Whether these end up being medevaced around, ideally probably not, or whether they end up being just simply run across the map, the reality is Zealots can't deal with Hellions unless they're standing still. Hellions are very fast, so they're not going to be standing still. Stalkers do not deal bonus damage to light. In fact, they don't hurt. They do not hurt Hellions very much at all. It takes a while to clean them up. And Mothership Core in the overcharge is probably his best bet. But again, the idea is that you drop on the main, you force the overcharge over here, and you just run in with the Hellions as the follow-up. It looks like he will just simply walk across the map. Now, do keep in mind, there's the small alternative that he may go for an elevator if he sees there's a lot of dead space, like there is right here. But may not actually be the case. Ooh, Hellions cleared that watchtower too. So now, unfortunately, HerO's aware there are Hellions out. He's got a Warp Prism coming up very quickly, though. This is something that can't be ignored. With the Warp Prism coming out sooner than later, it's going to give him the chance to drop, to warp in, and Jjakji's not going to have a whole lot at home, especially dedicating his forces across the map like this. Fully loads up inside this medevac. And HerO doesn't see this. The one space in his base fully unloaded in. Ooh, the Observer does get sniped off on the other side of the field. Jjakji is so good at this game. You can see why they saved him for last. Gets the Mothership Core, loses a Marine. Might lose 2 actually if he's not careful. But Hellions run into the natural base with this going on. Unfortunately, they don't get the position that they need, and they get surrounded by the probes. So not a lot of workers die. This one Hellion looking for that one money shot, doesn't quite get it. But the Marine's still alive, trying to dance around the outside of this Mothership Core. Or rather, the overcharge that was still lasting. Did he see that? I didn't see that. So what just happened with the Hellions there, by the way, was HerO and this pylon. Sorry, we couldn't really talk about it because we were waiting to see what's happening with the medevac, but this pylon really shut that down very nicely. The Warp Prism is also revealed while this goes on, so Jjakji knows what's coming up as a follow-up. A Storm! Whoa, HerO's going old school with this. He's going Storm and Armor and possibly Charge out of the Twilight Council in a moment here, instead of Blink. Anyways, this pylon meant the Hellions couldn't run around the outside of the mineral line, and that's what you always want to do. There's no Terran player, or there's no sane Terran player who says, alright, I'm going to dive into the mineral line. That seems like an effective way to kill probes. I think they've all learned at this point that that's not really the best thing to do, as oftentimes it gets you surrounded. But Mothership Core, or the Warp Prism, not going to be able to unload its contents, will lose 4 Stalkers inside of it, no less. Great control to Jjakji unloading the Mothership, or the dropship like that. I don't know why I keep trying to say Mothership Core, but there's no Mothership Core available. He did lose it. Actually, he just got rebuilt, to take that back. But yeah, so this build coming out of HerO is a little bit more old school. I'm not sure if Jjakji will necessarily be caught off guard by it, but it is something that might surprise him a little bit. Charge lots, Storms, Archons, these were the go-to. For a good like 5 months, this was the only build you'd see out of Protoss versus Terran. And it had pretty good success rates. But I think Jjakji, he's got a little too good control. I don't think Storm's going to catch him off guard. The armor upgrades might be single-handedly the most deadly thing here, but that'll probably be it. He probably, I would imagine, sees that Observer. Jjakji's got crazy eyes. There is an overcharge available, though, worth noting. Pops it off immediately, and Jjakji says, you know what, fine, let's doom drop your main. There's a couple Stalkers here waiting. Feedback's going to go down top of the medevacs. Unfortunately, doesn't lose any cargo inside of it. Now on the front lines, pushing forward. Is there no music on? No, good on. It's just quiet, I guess. Anyways, he was going to go for the base snipe if he could, but gets the Immortal instead. Not too bad of a constellation price. Actually, doesn't quite get the Immortal. Ooh, giving chase to it. Stim is not done yet. It's seconds from finishing here, guys. Now the Stim's finished. This changes entirely, but gets caught in a big storm. A couple more Templar are going to be focused down. Tries to get out with these medevacs, and a feedback slaps that one down. An Archon merged in behind this to keep any more damage from following through, but Jjakji's been rallying units. He's got more Marauders outside the base of his opponent. He's got more Marines and medevacs here. Anyways, Charge gets, or not Charge, rather, the armor upgrade does get finished up here. And again, I'm surprised we didn't see Charge. I was really expecting Charge, but I guess all the gas going elsewhere kind of makes sense. You don't want to spend gas on Charge if you're trying to get Storm out and such. But there's no overcharge available this time. These Marauders do stim forward, expecting to catch a couple Templar. No Templar available as they were turned into Archon. The Mothership Core is going to fall as well, which means no overcharge, just a couple of Zealots holding the line for the time being, going to kite backwards behind this. Medevacs need to boost force, so the Stalkers do not pick them off, and unfortunately, we didn't have another drop off while this was happening, but the forces are looking really scary. Warp Prism comes back home with these Zealots, another Storm goes down, and Jjakji gets a little bit greedy picking off a couple of those probes, but you know what? He's on 3 bases while this is happening. He's not exactly sweating this. Gets another Templar and boosts on backwards. Man, Marauders, again, if you guys haven't seen Marauders in action, Jjakji is making them work with great success. Trying to go for drops himself once more, but these have been ineffective throughout the course of this game. Widowmine's coming into play. These are entirely to make sure that those Zealots will not be as big of an issue as they have been. One of the biggest things with armor upgrades, you see, even with only +1, they take hits pretty nicely. Stims away from the Zealots, now trying to kite them with those concussive shells kicking in quite nicely, but backs himself into a cannon. Immortal gets here just in the nick of time, unfortunately. So does Jjakji pick up and leave the base. 2 medevacs on the front line, reposition. Oh, top right's got a bunker down, but there's nothing inside of it, unfortunately. If there's even just one Marine here, maybe holds the line a little bit, but forced to pull away from this, and Marines and Marauders do stem forward. Loses but an SCV. Main's also getting dropped while this happens. Tech has been delayed pretty heavily for Jjakji because a lot of this has been put into actual forces. Looks like we did have him get caught off guard a little bit while this was happening. And the main, not quite out of control, but still has to be careful. This Warp Prism needs to be dealt with. Jjakji, by the way, I don't know how. He's got units everywhere that he needs to have units. A couple Zealots may pick off a couple of these Marines, but Jjakji should be able to clean this up. Although the Marauder's not inside the bunker, don't deal with Zealots on face value. There we go, inside the bunker. Now he's good to go. More Zealots warped in, and looks like one of the Widow Mines did go off. The second one will finish that Warp Prism. But not going to risk it. But yeah, Jjakji's got some serious map presence on the other side of the field, and again, for HerO, you can play off of 2 bases as a Protoss player, but not forever, and not for the entire game. We got a Ghost Academy coming up, which means Ghosts will be coming out in due time. Let's not forget about that Mobius reactor being pre-built into Ghost. EMP is going to be available right off the bat, and you know, these drops have been pretty darn effective. These head-on engagements have been keeping HerO's army count low. Jjakji's got double the lead right now, and this looks really big because it is really big. This isn't the difference of like 5 Zealots waiting to be warped in. This is a Colossus missing. This is your Templar tech not available. Now we're going to have 2 big fronts hit at the same time here. We're going to have a Doom drop going off towards the main by the looks of it. And at the same time, Jjakji may be poised to move into the third. If that's going to be the case, HerO will lose one of his either his production or his Nexus. If he can hold both, then he is a god. But it's not going to be easy. A scan comes down preemptively, sees a couple Templars, so tries to get these down quick before getting feedbacked upon. It gets right up on top of everything. Widow Mines do burrow, kind of just haphazardly. Third base is being attacked while this happens. As stated before, the cancel goes off, not quite the kill, but still a good snipe nonetheless. Main Nexus is getting focused down, and HerO's going to lose this base. This hurts him because of the gas more so than anything else. Unfortunately, Widow Mine's also still in range of that cannon. But there's more Widow Mines over here on the right side. This one group over here does stem away and get picked up, but at the same time, Zealots wreaking havoc on Jjakji's own third. The reinforcements for him might not be enough, although the Ghosts are here on the front lines. This also reveals the Ghosts. Not that big of a deal, I suppose, but SCVs do die, and a couple of depots do burn while this is going on. Widow Mine's not burned, means he might lose the Ghost. He actually can't afford to lose the Ghost. He really needs to keep these alive. The Widow Mine does burrow. Ooh, can he pick up another Ghost? Dies to friendly fire, son of a gun. And he has not cleaned this up. Now that the army's been brought back up, though, he will finally. This Warp Prism's such a nuisance. No Vikings to deal with it. And the Widow Mines are being repositioned a little bit closer to the mineral lines. Just gotta be careful. New observers about to hatch here, too. Or not hatch, but come out. Ooh, nice hit of Widow Mine hits. A 4 on that one, 5 on the other. 9 workers killed for a very simplistic reburrow. But guys, again, Jjakji may have just taken some pretty heavy losses. He lost quite a few SCVs while this was going on, but he never cleaned up the Warp Prism. Now we find that the Viking out, and the army is actually getting stormed. Those SCVs, a couple of mules get out of there just barely alive, but this Archon needs to be dealt with pretty quickly, as this will not be something fun to throw low HP mules and SCVs into. But it looks like a blast or 2 goes off, but nothing too dangerous. Middle of the map actually storming forward to Jjakji's own 4th. Boldly being built on location. Thought he had a lot more control of the game than he currently does. Oh, these medevacs are so low. He's got a hell of a lot of them, actually. 17 medevacs. I think it's just a wee bit too many. But that's okay, because it's not like he needs the Vikings yet. It's not like he needs that supply to be elsewhere. There's no Colossus that have been revealed. We have a couple of EMPs did go off there, but sadly the Immortal's still pushing strong. The Marine count, I feel, is perhaps a little too lacking in this regard, but the Mortals, they deal so much damage to Marauders. Even if you make those, they get shot very quickly. Widow Mine's trying to reburrow, but there's a Widow Mine here. He's got to be careful. Or not Widow Mine, an Observer, so he sees these. He's going to lose the Widow Mine, sadly. And Jjakji, who had such control of this game, now in a bit of a rough spot, will be able to push these back. But oh my god, if this didn't take everything he had to make happen, Ghosts being light armored as they are, don't take a lot of extra damage from these Immortals, and this is a very rough trade to make happen. Somehow, though, some way, I don't know when or how, HerO gets a pylon down while this is happening. The EMP on those Zealots as they were warping in, by the way, was fantastic. And each of these units has a personal healer at this point. Snipes off with literal snipes. Those Templar picks off the Immortals, and it's looking a lot better. That being said, he still doesn't have a big army value. A lot of this 102 supply is mostly in those medevacs. So this looks much more inflated than it really is. But HerO's just going to have to tap out, realizing they're still stuck on 1.5 bases. GG is called. And actually, wait, did he lose more probes? No, I didn't. Okay, that's just him being fed up. GG is called, and mYinsanity will put themselves on the board. They'll stop the all kill at a 4-win streak for Liquid HerO, and the score is now 1-4.